and Iowa State Representative.
Thank you. I did 20 years ago, I walked through this gym and graduated from here, and I think, I'm not going to ask the teachers to raise their hands, but a lot like Mr. Eastman over there, I think there's a few of them that are saying, really? You know, what's this guy doing up here, and how did he get elected, and whatever, but I wasn't that bad a student. Actually, since it was a pep rally, I thought, well, maybe I'll get out in my Letterman's jacket or my FFA jacket and wear that tonight. Absolutely no chance of those things fitting. So, it's not because I've been lifting weights either. So, I just want to, just commend you folks for coming together and pulling. This is awesome. This is what Rural Iowa is about. Somebody gets sick and everybody pulls together. Somebody loses their house and everybody pulls together. And now in this case, the school's got some issues and so everybody's pulling together. This is what Rural Iowa is about. And I commend you for doing this and getting organized and trying to raise the dollars to keep the doors open. One of the things, and Greg kind of should have compared notes with him before we started, but really what it comes down to at the end of the day, on the legislative side, at the end of the day it comes down to numbers. And it comes down to enrollment. I mean, the way the school funding formula is based in the state of Iowa for you guys to get funded is based off your per pupil funding. And right now, like Greg said, over the last decade, you lost 30%. And at $6,000 a student, that money starts to add up pretty fast. And so, for me to go down to Des Moines and say, we've got to change this funding formula and we got to do this because we got... It's a huge mountain to climb, okay? Not to say that I'm not going to try those things, but I just want you to know it is a huge mountain. And the other thing that you got to consider as well is that with redistricting, we will now have more urban legislators than rural legislators. That's scary because it's going to make this agenda even harder to get through in Des Moines because you have so many urban people and they probably don't care as much about us folks out here in rural Iowa. And so, that's definitely a major issue. Some of the options, and believe me, I've been putting a lot of time and effort into this and trying to find that magic bullet. What can I tell these people tonight that is going to give them some hope and tell them that we're doing some things in Des Moines that is going to lead to keeping the doors open at Riceville Community High School. And some of the things that I can share with you, one of the things that we got to do is you have great cash reserves. But you can't spend them. And you can't spend them because that money is generated off of the taxes, off of levy. And so you may have a school district like Okoboji, which would be considered a property-rich school district, and we would be considered a property-poor school district. And so the state tries to keep uniformity amongst all those school districts because you may have a school district next to Okoboji that's property-poor, and they can't offer all the things that Okoboji could offer at their schools, and they may start to recruit students away from that school district. So the state tries to keep things consistent when it comes to those cash reserves. However, with everything, there's always a loophole. And so we may be on the cusp of some loopholes in terms of the cash reserves. I'm not sure yet, and I'm not going to share that just quite yet, but we are working on something there. One of the things that I've been talking with, and there's a guy by the name of Larry Siegel. Larry Siegel was here in Riceville back in 2009-2010 school year. He came and did a presentation to the school board. And I came over that night to listen to him talk, and he talked in the band room. He's a genius when it comes to school finance. And so I've been having conversations with Larry about what can Riceville do. And so Larry's been nothing but great help in helping me. But one of the things that he said that we need to look at is we need to come up with some sort of a special fund from the state that helps to cover transportation costs. Okay? Riceville, you have a declining enrollment, but your school district size has not shrunk. And so you still have the transportation costs, you still have the fuel costs, but you have less ridership. And so we got to do something that equalizes that a little bit. And so one of the things that I think we need to look at is some sort of a special fund that helps you guys compensate for those transportation costs. The other thing that Larry mentioned that I think is also a genius idea is we have all sorts of weighted funding. If you're a special education student, you get weighted funding. So on top of that $6,000, you get additional dollars for special ed needs. If you're a student that's taking dual credits to the local community college, the school district gets weighted funding for that. One of the things that Larry said we should look into is to provide weighted funding for low-enrolled school districts, such as yourself. Because we're not putting out a bad product. Just because we have low enrollment doesn't mean we're not putting out good students. I would put any student that graduates from Riceville up against a student that graduates from the Des Moines public school system. They can't even get above 60% in their graduation rate. We're at 99 to 100% in Mitchell County. So I would put us up against any of those people, and so let's have a special weighted funding that allows us to get more money per student because we're a low enrolled district. I don't see why that can't be done. Some of the things we could also do is the PEPL fund. That is your physical plant equipment levy fund. And that fund has a lot of strict regulations on it. You can buy a school bus out of the PEPL fund, but you can't repair the engine or the transmission in that school bus. Many districts will buy a new school bus rather than fix the one that's broke because they don't have the money in the general fund to do so. We need to change that. In my mind, that's a common sense thing. You know, why would we not let school districts fix their bus versus going out and buying a new bus? I mean, I don't know, I guess that's just how political spending goes. Just look at Washington, D.C. So how do we do all these things? I've got a letter and a request into the governor's office that I want him to create a task force this summer that looks at rural education in Iowa. I want to sit on that task force. I would like to have some of you folks sit on that task force. I don't think that we should just sit around and let our rural school districts shut down without addressing the issue. You know, and it's Riceville, it's St. Ansgar, it's Osage, it's Charles City. We're all rural school districts. We all have declining enrollment. You know, maybe Riceville just got there a little bit faster than some of the neighboring school districts, but we need to take a look at this. We cannot sit around and continue to let our school districts shut their doors and we don't do anything about it. So I'm requesting that the governor creates a task force this summer, and we get people like Larry Siegel on it, we get people like myself on it, we get some rural administrators, some rural teachers, school board members, citizens, whatever, and we need to get our heads together, and we need to come up with some plans. And then those plans can turn into legislation for next year. And those are things that we can do. I won't lie to you. I'm lobbying extremely hard right now so that I can become the Education Committee Chair of the House next year. I'm not satisfied with what we've done. In 2 years, I don't feel like we've done anything for education since I've been there. And that's what I campaigned on. And we haven't done anything. We haven't accomplished what I think we need to accomplish. Why? Because we let the R's and the D's get in the way. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it gets very frustrating. So I'm lobbying right now to get that position so that we can get some changes made and we can make some changes and help out our rural school districts and keep us viable. You know, again, we put out a good product. I don't see why we should have to be shutting the doors to these rural school districts. It doesn't make sense to me. So those are some of the things legislatively that I'll be working on if I'm reelected. Okay, you got to get out there and make sure that happens. So with that though, and I'll take off the legislative hat. Riceville as a community also has to, and I'm not saying you do a bad job of this, but we can do a better job of economic development. You know, you got Brenda Dreyer here. She's a diamond for Mitchell County when it comes to economic development. She's done a lot for Riceville. She's worked with a lot of you. I think we can ramp it up another level. If I'm a business owner and I don't have anybody coming through my door, how do I sell my product? We have got to get people through the door in Riceville. And I think one of the things that you guys can do is you got to take advantage of things like the bike trail, Lake Hendricks, the golf course. You've got to get people in town, and probably the easiest way to do that is to simply use the recreational side. You know, turn this place into a miniature Waynesboro. Get people to come through the door. Maybe you get some business owner that comes to Riceville to take a look. They bring their family, they go on the bike trail, they go fishing at Lake Hendricks, and they own a small business. And they're saying, you know, what a great little community. They got hardworking people, they got a great school system. Why don't we move our business to Riceville? It seems like a nice town. You're not going to get those people through the door by not doing anything. You got to get them through the door. And so I think you got some tools in place. You just got to sharpen them a little bit and make better use of them. But I think there's some things there. Talk to the Howard County Conservation Board. Why not build some cabins and put some cabins around Lake Hendricks? Rent them out. You know, there's some things that we can do. The infrastructure's there. I just think we have to foster it and grow it a little bit more, and I think you're on the cusp of it. The other thing is, you may not realize this is an important factor, Omni Telecommunications. They are making a huge investment in broadband and putting the fiber cable in the ground. You can attract businesses and companies because you guys will have fiber optic cable. They can't even get that in Mason City, but Riceville's going to have it. You guys are scheduled to get the high-speed internet, that fiber optic. That's going to open up a whole new world to this community. It allows businesses to do work globally. It stays connected. It's going to allow more opportunities for our school district to have that. So there's some things that are going on here, and we just have to take advantage of those things and look within and see what kind of things we can grow. But again, I commend you guys for putting this together. Trust that I am going to continue to work hard in Des Moines. You know, Mr. Green's just going to keep emailing me and keeping me on my toes anyway. So I commend him for being an advocate and asking the tough questions. And when he asks the tough questions, I have to go find the answers. You know, that's good. That's a good thing. So keep working hard on this. I think you guys will make it. You're not the type of group that gives up easy, and you're not a bunch of quitters. So I have no doubt in my mind that this is going to be a successful fundraising campaign. All of you that have donated your time to this is awesome. This is just really neat to see this. So with that, I guess I get to introduce Uncle Kevin. So he's going to talk about, I don't know, the details of everything. So we'll turn it over to Kevin.